hey there. I hope everybody had a good hunting season or is having a good hunting season. Clock's winding down. We've got about, as of now, we have 2 days left. I went up to the mountains this morning and the wind was blowing very aggressively. I recorded a gust of pretty close to 70 miles an hour. It was bad. I really wanted to go, but if there's one thing I've learned in growing up in this country and hunting in the wind is there's hunting in the wind and there's wasting your time. And today was one of those you're wasting your time type days. But anyways, so I spent 20 days field and put on about 150 miles looking for my elk this year. So it's probably one of the hardest seasons I've ever had. And during that time, you spend a lot of time by your onesies out there in the woods, and you got to entertain yourself somehow. So I made a video for everyone called Elk and Squirrels and Where to Find Them. A pro tip video by the one and only Montana Mountain Lesbian. So without further ado, thought we'd cover a couple things before we roll the video, but some terminology that are very important / critical to this video is squirrel. So some of you may know what a squirrel is, and there's going to be a lot of you that don't. So a squirrel is a very pretty girl, just so we are all on the same page. So that being said, hope you enjoyed the video and you enjoyed the last 2 days of hunting season. So, good morning. New book idea called Elk and Squirrels and Where to Find Them. So, as some of you may know, what they say about Montana is behind every tree is a cute girl. So naturally, elk must be behind every tree too. So step 1, find trees. Step 2, start checking behind every tree. Oh, and seeing as we are in a very bouldery area, probably wouldn't hurt to check behind all those boulders too. You never know. You might find both A, an elk, and B, the girl of your dreams. So, keep those eyes peeled. Good morning. So, continuation. Tip number 2 on elk and squirrels and where to find them. So, out and about this morning, checking behind every tree and boulder, and so far, not seeing a lot of squirrel sign. A little more elk sign than squirrel sign. But today, I wanted to touch on tracking of the squirrels and the bugles. So, dead giveaway for squirrel tracking is you have to pay very close attention because squirrels leave very small clues in the forest as to whether they've been there or not, and are way harder to track than elk. So the main things you are looking for with squirrels are hair and footprints, as well as the occasional campfire ring. But more importantly, that's probably going to be more common, are crumbs from snacks, because squirrels cannot survive in the mountains without snacks. At least I can't. So, thought we'd go over, some basics. So, a squirrel footprint is going to look about like so. However, more than likely will be smaller, although don't dismiss, some of us squirrels do have big feet as well. However, the biggest difference between a squirrel footprint and a male baboon footprint is a male baboon footprint probably is going to be wider and even bigger, kind of looking like a Sasquatch, and it's going to be real heavy imprint in the ground. Whereas a squirrel footprint is going to kind of have like a little scamper to it. So those are going to be your main giveaways. The crumbs are hard to find, as the birds do like to pick up the crumbs that squirrels leave behind. Hair, a little harder to find in the open, but definitely in the trees. Squirrels leave hair everywhere, and there are obviously a few different types of squirrels. There are brown squirrels, such as me. There are red squirrels. There are black squirrels. And the very elusive blonde squirrels. And honestly, the favorite squirrel of mine is the red squirrels. because they're full of sugar and spice and a little bit of vinegar too. So as far as elk goes, I think we all know what elk looks like. Kind of like a moo cow, but smaller, but bigger than deer. Somewhere in between. But the biggest giveaway to elk is they shit everywhere. So they should be relatively easy to find. For more tips and tricks on how to be a successful Montana mountain lesbian hunter, stay tuned. Good afternoon. Pro tip number 3 on the continuation of elk and squirrels and where to find them. Today's pro tip, we will be discussing luring and calling, as well as food sources. So, when looking for the ever elusive mountain squirrel, you have to remember, as we talked about last time, you must always check behind every tree. Also, squirrels like snacks. Therefore, if you have some snacks with you, you can lure them in. So, to touch on elk are kind of skittish creatures, as are squirrels, but as we all know, elk really like grass. They also are very dependent upon water, and so are squirrels. Squirrels will normally pack water into the backcountry. However, always keep in mind where all your important water sources are, as well as an open part of that water source, because squirrels will need access to it to filter water. That being said, this time of the day, squirrels are kind of feeling a little sleepy. They're kind of in that mid-afternoon lull between morning hunt and afternoon hunt. So you will want to be looking for squirrels on west and south-facing slopes in the sunshine, probably near a fire ring, because squirrels don't like being cold. So that being said, always carry some snacks in your backpack, because squirrels are very attracted to the sound. Their ears perk up and they come running right in when they hear the sound of snacks being opened. You can set one out on a rock. I usually like to set, squirrels are kind of hard to catch. So, you don't want to set the bait too far out away, because we will touch on this in pro tip number 4, but squirrels is a live capture, whereas elk is not. Squirrels make multiple noises depending on what is going on. They have been known to make sounds such as fuck and shit when they're going through the deadfall and tripping over things, but usually squirrels are pretty quiet, very sneaky. Occasionally you'll hear achoo, as they are sneaking through the trees. Elk, on the other hand, I think we all know some of the basic noises that elk make, but probably the most popular is the cow call. So, that's a very important thing to remember, is the cow call. We are hunting light rifle, so bugling doesn't do you any good, but the beautiful thing about the elk call is when elk are running, pop that bitch in and be like. The amazing thing is, squirrels are looking for elk too. So they hear that sound and they immediately stop and start searching for the elk that made that sound. So, really truly, elk calls do work to call in squirrels, because squirrels are after the same thing. But, yeah. As far as elk go, elk are going to spend most of their afternoons sleeping as well. They prefer the deep and the dark, away from everybody, so they don't get bothered. Elk's favorite snacks, obviously, is fresh green grass, but that's kind of hard to find this time of year. They do like salt blocks and hay fields and such, but baiting is illegal in Montana, so therefore can't really use any of those tips and tricks for hunting elk. But yeah, hopefully I covered it all. And as always, stay tuned for more tips and tricks on how to be a successful Montana mountain lesbian hunter. Good morning. As you can tell, it's a little cold this morning. It's about 8-9 degrees out. I did not bring my puff pants, and I'm regretting that decision of not bringing my puffy pants. But, anyways, while I'm sitting here freezing my ass off, I thought we would address pro tip number 4 on elk and squirrels and where to find them. So, the last time we had a video, we talked about eating habits, sleeping habits of elk and squirrels in the woods. And today, we're going to cover weapon systems choice. So, obviously, the main difference between elk and squirrel capture is squirrels are a live capture, because it would be very sad if a squirrel died. I mean, the point is to catch a squirrel so you can date a squirrel, so you have someone to make pancakes with and go hunting. So kind of vital that you catch the squirrel alive. Elk, on the other hand, are tasty animals. So obviously elk must die, unfortunately, to feed us. So anyways, sorry, don't have the best dexterity this morning, but weapon systems for elk. So unfortunately, my 28 Nosler, I fell on it last week, and I have not had time to resight it in. So we're running a Tika 300 short make. A real critical part to this weapon system is my quick sticks. So as you can see, we got a neat little adapter to two main directions. Got a neat little adapter for shooting sticks. We have a Tika 300 short mag with a Vortex Viper PST on top of it. This is my ghetto setup, by the way. My 28 Nosler is a custom built, shoot 195s, and has a Maven RS5 on top of it. Weighs 9.5 pounds. This gun weighs probably 7.5, maybe 8. But both guns, or this gun's probably capable to 500 or 600 yards. It's kind of hard to shoot because it's so light. My Nosler, 1,000 if you practice, no problem. But yeah, bullet choice. So I really like burgers. They tend to fuck shit up. So all you people who are like, oh, high shoulder shot, yeah, you don't do that with burgers. It just destroys meat. So I highly recommend the boiler room. Lung shot preferable, although heart shot is fine too. Yeah. So really, when it comes to weapon systems for elk, you just want a rifle that you're comfortable with shooting, that's relatively accurate, and, you know, minimum caliber. I'm kind of a minimum 6.5 PRC, SOM, 270 if you're into old school, 260 Remington, anything on up. I can say the 28 Nosler with 195s will put a hurt severely on just about anything other than, you know, a 30-28 Nosler or like 338 Lapua, or, I mean, it thumps. But so capturing squirrels, this is such a chore. Capturing squirrels is so hard. I mean, obviously, my imaginary squirrel friend here, they're so easy to capture. I usually pack a little bit of paracord. You know, the goal is to slow the squirrel down long enough to catch it. So I like carrying paracord. You can set a little foot noose. So usually what I do, I'm not going to get the cord out. I'll dig a little hole, and I'll put the paracord in here. And then I'll bury it back up. And so then when the squirrel steps in the hole, you pull it around. And naturally, catching squirrels is kind of like trapping. You got to funnel them to where you want them so you can set the snag and get them. Another thing that works pretty well is like 30-pound test, fishing blind, and you string it between two trees. And so when you're after that squirrel, they're paying attention on running away from you and not looking at their damn feet. And they trip and fall, which makes you kind of feel bad because we really don't want to hurt the squirrels. But they trip and fall, and that gives you the opportunity to catch up to them and tackle them and put your name on them. But anyways, so yeah. You can also bait squirrels with the noose method or the fishing line method. Put the snack out like over by that tree, and so the squirrel's like, ooh, snack. It goes, sorry, I'm having a really hard time this morning. I finally had to take my glove off. So anyways, then they're like, ooh, snack. And they go running over to the rock and fall down as they're trying to get the snack because they're hungry. And yeah, you tackle them. So yeah, that is pro tip number 4 on weapon choice systems for capturing squirrels and killing elk. Have a good day. And as always, stay tuned for more pro tips on how to be a successful Montana mountain lesbian hunter.